with Truth here, and it's time for more Otaku Evolution. Be sure to like, subscribe, and contribute to my Patreon. In this video, we'll be returning to the little franchise that could, an underrated classic, Patlabor. If you've been following my videos, and let's face it, you haven't, you'd have seen several Patlabor reviews by now, including the original OVA and the 3 movies. The concept of police with mecha may be pretty stupid simple on its face, but can actually be rather compelling in the right hands. And those hands are mostly Mamoru Oshii and the Headgear Group. The first 2 Patlabor movies are especially 2 of my favorite anime films. But the OVA continuity isn't the only one that exists for Dear Patlabor. Much like Tenchi Muyo, there's also a television series that retells how the characters met and the circumstances of their adventures. Unlike Tenchi Universe, however, the Patlabor TV series is basically interchangeable with the OVA, aside from not being directed by Oshii. You could easily go from the episodes of the original OVA to, let's say, episodes 4 or 5 of the TV series and just keep watching like that. So today I'll be looking at Patlabor TV from 1989, which, while not directed by Mamoru Oshii, had some episodes written by him. Though most of the episodes were written by Kazunori Ito, who wrote most of the animated Patlabor. And for those of you who haven't been paying attention, let's introduce Patlabor again. In an alternate late 90s, giant robots called labors are used for heavy construction. However, occasionally labor-related crimes occur. On a stretch of reclaimed land in Tokyo Bay sits the Special Vehicle Section 2. This is where our main characters, the members of Division 2, are headquartered. The members of this small division are, well, they're not exactly an elite squadron of consummate professionals. Noa Azumi, our main protagonist, is labor-obsessed, especially attached to her Patlabor unit she calls Alphonse. Her command car operator is Asuma Shinohara, scion of the head of Shinohara Heavy Industries, the company that manufactures most labors. Asuma is headstrong and perceptive, and the carrier driver for Alphonse is Hiromi Yamazaki, a gentle giant that likes agriculture. Piloting the other Patlabor for the division is Isao Ota, the hot-headed, gun-crazy, obsessed-with-duty guy who causes the division major headaches, but is actually a fairly stand-up guy. His command car operator is Kanuka Clancy. Kanuka is basically perfect. A badass in and out of a labor, smart, beautiful, and determined. Oh, and the carrier driver is this mousy guy named Mikiyasu Shinshi. Yawn.
What's so funny?
Stop! Both sides must bow first!
What's so funny? What's so
Stop it! Are you trying to kill me?
funny now? Funny now?
The commander of Division 2 is probably my favorite character, the ever-manipulative and clever Kiichi Goto, a man as sharp and savvy as he is laid back and even somewhat lazy. He was sidelined into his position for fear of ruffling too many feathers, but he's just fine being where he is, not having a lot of ambition. The commander of Division 1, the more responsible team, is also a character that appears pretty often. Her name is Shinobu Nagumo, and she's as smart and capable as Goto, and like him, she was shuffled away into her position for speaking her mind. Unlike Goto, she's more professional, and is thus more revered. The only member of Division 1 we see semi-regularly is Gomioka, though in the finale we get to see the other pilot. Gomioka is a super competent officer that is often frustrated by the lack of upgrades to Division 1's equipment, since Division 2 has the superior labors, the Ingrams. Anyway, as you might imagine with all these characters, hijinks ensue. Most of the set hijinks are of the episodic variety, whether they're hanging out HQ killing boredom, stopping rogue military hardware, fighting giant monsters, wrangling the Yakuza, getting their insurance renewed, or running from albino alligators. Section 2 Division 2's adventures and misadventures are well chronicled in the 47-episode television series. Because of little continuity between episodes, you can sort of pick and choose most of what you're watching for a while. One of my favorite episodes sees our heroes at a police judo competition at which Oda and Shinohara are injured and can't perform their duties. Therefore, Noah has to take orders from Kanuka, and the two clash. To ensure harmony within the division, Captain Goto takes everyone drinking, which turns into a drinking contest between Noah and Kanuka.
Do you ever get lonely like you miss people back in America? Don't you ever get those feelings?
Grandma.
Huh?
Grandma.
Grandma? Grandma! I've got a grandma too! I wonder how she's doing right now. Huh?
I want to go home. I wish I could. Go back home.
Two threads eventually appear in the show. One is the possibility of other labors being assigned to Section 2. There's always something going on involving upgrades to the Patlabor units. Usually it turns out that either the company providing them are shady, or the upgraded units are ultimately not as responsive as the Ingrams, or whatever. Division 1's Patlabors are always on the cusp of being upgraded, only for something to go wrong. It's only at the end of the series that they finally get new models, but Noah proves that the Ingrams still have life left in them. The second thread is first about the mysterious phantom labor that seems to attack for the sake of secretly testing out its features by a corporation called Shaft Enterprises. Division 2 has a lot of difficulties dealing with this enemy, but ultimately defeats it. But this thread evolves into a testbed for Shaft's next new labor project, the Griffin, which is a seriously badass labor that is piloted by a little boy named Bud. You know, like you do. The Phantom/Griffin story arc is the main story arc of the series, taking up several episodes, and is some of the strongest material in the show. Now, personally, I prefer a little more grounded arcs, like the two-parter in the OVA, but the Griffin episodes are still pretty awesome. I mean, you have Shaft Enterprises, who owns their own private paramilitary security force. You have Utsumi, the head of the Griffin Project, in his clever planning, and apparent connection to Kanuka's replacement, Kumagami. You have Bud Renard, the enthusiastic boy genius who's champing at the bit for action. And, of course, the Griffin itself, which looks to be like a prototype for G Gundam's Master Gundam. It's the most intriguing plotline.
Why aren't you guys eating?
I really don't have an appetite.
Without an Ingram, what can you do with that?
Huh? Oh, this? A good police officer can always improvise.
Oh.
What I think I like the most about Patlabor is that it can turn on a dime between comedy, action, and drama with little to no trouble, something that a lot of other series fail to do. It can be thoughtful and engaging, or it can be fluffy and fun, and it doesn't have a problem being all these things, partially because of its episodic nature, and you would expect it to be episodic given that these characters are a police force, so their work lives are episodic. Then again, there are also arcs, as you would also expect, and they're fully fleshed out to be worthwhile serials. Now, obviously, the TV series doesn't quite go to the same lengths as the movies do in being thoughtful and thematic. It's basically what you see is what you get, without much thematic weight and social commentary. There's an element of satire, but it's pretty surface level. Patlabor TV is just a simple, fun show that too often gets overlooked because it isn't the deepest or most flashy. It's got that middle ground you look for in a casual watching situation. And it's always interesting to see how the characters interact and react to the various situations they find themselves in as the series moves along. These are some of the most likable main characters in a mecha series I've ever seen. And it's refreshing to have a main character that not only doesn't mind piloting their giant robot, but actually obsesses over her robot. Some of the drama comes from just how deeply she cares about her work and her patrol labor. So here's to you, Noah Izumi, for taking out the existential crises and injecting a little love and enthusiasm into a giant robot show. Next time on Otaku Evolution, I don't even know. Maybe a movie of some kind. Whatever it is, I'll be sure to make the most of it I can. Until then, see ya!
Die.
She's asking for a favor, I suppose?
That's one way of looking at it, I guess.